Hi aquarists! Today I decided to invite you into my workroom where I am creating an atlas of aquarium plants. In this room I actually have about 140 aquarium plants, which I place into different aquariums depending on how demanding they are. I am trying whether they will grow in low-tech or high-tech aquariums, what is sufficient for them, and which conditions are necessary for them to look good. In fact, I have been building this room for about a year and a half, so I could show it to you when it's complete, because, you know, I would like to show myself off a bit here. I am proud that I managed to do this, and I hope you will like the result, which you can find at SURPAN.cz. No matter if it's articles or atlas, which I am creating here, I take pictures of the plants myself, and I also look into their needs myself. First, I will show you the whole place, so you know what it is all about. There are a few aquariums on the windowsill. Then I have an aquarium which is embedded into the wall, some kind of a shelf. Now I will show you why I actually have this aquarium, what I do with it, what I use in it, and so on. Let's start. I have this aquarium because of taking photos of larger plants, meaning I will grow and take pictures of plants like Echinodorus, Crinum, or alternatively Aponogeton alvaceus, simply bigger plants that need space to stand out. This is a melon sword, Echinodorus osiris. A beautiful plant which I got from an aquarist who grew it in an aquarium for a long time. When he sent the plant to me, the plant was 1 meter high, unbelievable, but I had to keep growing it for another year before taking pictures of it. I used strong lighting for it, so its leaves didn't get so big, and I cut the largest leaves gradually, so the plant got smaller. Right now, I have it in a 216-liter aquarium, which is 60 by 60 by 60 centimeters. Here is a 50-watt LED spotlight, which lights the plant. I used black flexi-colored 4 to 2 millimeters gravel. This is the only aquarium in this room in which I have an external filter. It is completely cool. It's an JBL E1501. Here you can see my 3 bottles with PMDD. I have one more in the fridge. This is where I store it. That is about all from this aquarium. I fertilize here. Mainly I put NPK capsules at the bottom, which is enough for the plants. There is no need to over-fertilize. What I would say more about my workroom, I have probably mentioned that I have been creating it for a year and a half, and that it consists of about 140 types of aquarium plants. There was a little more plants there some time ago, after I took some pictures already. I had to get rid of some of the plants so I could buy more or increase space for existing plants. I have one more aquarium in the living room, so it is plus minus 140 types of plants. As for maintenance, it takes me approximately 4 hours every day, and although it is mostly changing water or cutting plants, sometimes a problem occurs. So, for example, I have to fight some algae or some tiny muddiness. Or cryptocrines sometimes suffer from leaves decay, which is a standard situation. For instance, it is not so bad with 13 aquariums, but with all 16 I have at home, it is getting time-consuming. It makes this 4 hours per day. I am doing this in the evenings until midnight, but I am really glad there have been minimal problems with the aquariums, because if there were, I would have to take care of them all day long, which naturally I can't do because of work. This here is another aquarium. This is where I take pictures the most. Here I use, I assume, about a 10-watt light by Aquarium, maybe. Here I take pictures of the plants that are already somewhat grown up. Sometimes it even takes a year of waiting till the plant is really beautiful, and it even happened to me that I was waiting for 2 years until it was just like I wanted it to be. Here I also use the black flexi gravel. As a filter, I use some hanging filter, which is a good option for aquariums like this. It is true, though, that I wouldn't probably use a hanging filter in an aquarium with lots of fish. There I would use a solid biofoam, a pumping head Atman, or an external filter by JBL. Here is another aquarium. Here you can see other plants. On the left there is Anubias bonsai, on the right Anubias petite. You can see the difference between these plants is not so big, but it is still there. I use a 10-watt LED spotlight here, approximately 6000 kelvins. I will take a look so I don't lie here. 800 lumens. I also use a hanging filter here, but I call this more like a wiki, because when there are no fish it can be used, but when you put fish in there, the foam in the filter is so thin that you always get some muddiness, and you need to clean the filter all the time. I haven't found a hanging filter that would be good for this yet. Of course, one big advantage is you don't have to have the filter in this nano aquarium. You only have a suction tube here, which doesn't take up much space compared to a few liters of filter volume if other types of filters were used. Here I use different kinds of gravel. You can notice here that I have the Volcano Black by Ratai, and I will actually test how I will be satisfied with it, same as I did with the Flexi one. I still use 2 to 4 millimeters silicious gravel, about which I cannot complain, but it's true that I like the color of the Flexi Black more. However, the small disadvantage of Flexi Black is it looks a bit artificial, since it actually is artificially colored silicious gravel. I do not get this impression from Volcano Black, but it also has its disadvantages, such as sharp edges, which is not my cup of tea. In another aquarium, I have the Aquarium Pat Mini filter with my own biofoam. The head of the filter has proven to be useful for my small aquariums. Some of these I have been using for more than 9 years and they still work perfectly, with the only difference that I place my own bigger biofoam there. In this one I also have the volcano black gravel, a 10-watt spotlight, 6000 kelvins, 800 lumens, and the plant here is a willow moss. I forgot to mention that here I have a Microsorum pteropus vindaloo. Let's move on to the next aquarium, which has been founded recently. The filter here is Aquaal UV50, if I remember correctly. I removed its biofoam cover because it works better for me. Then there is a Madagascar lace leaf plant, and I have also placed here a rare moss, but this didn't turn out to be a good idea. I think I have damaged it. Again, a 10-watt spotlight with 6000 kelvins and 800 lumens, my favorite color of light. For the first time, I used platinum soil powder here. But as this aquarium was only founded, say, 3 weeks ago, I cannot say much about it. But I quite like it, and I also like the way it looks. I will say my experience of it later. In the photo, you could have noticed some IKEA boxes on the ground, and I have them here because sometimes my aquariums are too full of plants and I don't have the heart to throw them after cutting, so there the plants wait for placement or selling or exchanging for other plants I don't have yet with other aquarists. Or sometimes I sell these leftovers so I could buy some other kind of plants. It's only now that we get to the aquarium wall. I will show it to you once again, more or less the whole of it, but I can't get much further in this room. Let's start from the left then. This aquarium is actually a 60-litre aquarium. It's pretty low, I think about 15 centimeters high, and as I said, it has 60 litres. Here I grow some stringy moss plants, a few types of cryptocoryne plants, and a Sagittaria subulata. This aquarium is only with the snails, and there is one rainbow fish. I do not have a filter here, no heating either. There is only one light. I use LEDs by Mr. Duma, which remained after one test, and I dimmed them to the lowest level so as not to burn the cryptocorynes so they could thrive somehow. In these aquariums I have silicious gravel, 2 to 4 mm size fractions. From time to time I use some NPK fertilizing drops at the bottom, so the plants thrive more, but here I did not use anything because this is more about getting the aquarium established, and I don't want to care about this much. I do not change water here either. I only fill what evaporates, and actually the evaporation here is quite big. There are no glass covers on these top aquariums. Let's go down. This aquarium is also low-tech, also without CO2. As lighting, I have 3 10-watt LED spotlights here, meaning 30 watts in total, 6000 kelvins and 3 times 800 lumens. The filter head is an Atman, and I used a bigger biofoam here. In this aquarium we actually have little shrimps and one beautiful rainbow fish male. I also grow about 10 types of Bucephalandra, a few Amazon sort plants, such as a Pilo moss, Phoenix moss, and actually a few Anubiases, so a coin, behind it there's a tetraploid, coffeefolia, and here is a Nana gold. Then there is a striped Ninto, Nangi, and this is, I think, everything from Anubiases. This aquarium is also with silicious gravel. There are many roots here, and what more I could add, I don't put CO2 here, and I fertilize it rarely. So, this aquarium here is of course also low-tech. I have a few rainbow fish here. Also, I have snails here like the great ram's horn, Planabarius, and bladder snails. And I grow absolutely non-demanding plants here, such as dwarf Sagittaria, giant Ambulia, dwarf Ambulia, some Cryptocorynes, and above swims a Hygrorhiza. These beautiful roots here. In this aquarium I use substrate for substrate for water lilies below the gravel. This works pretty well with the Cryptocorynes now. On the other hand, the beginnings were a bit more difficult as this place suffered from blue-green algae and it wasn't very good. I use 3 10-watt spotlights here, again 6000 kelvins, 3 times 800 lumens, so 2400 lumens in total. This aquarium has about 120 liters. As a filter, I use an internal pumping head Atman and a quite big biofoam. By this aquarium, I already have 4 10-watt LED spotlights. The aquarium has 160 liters, a pumping head Atman, and a large biofoam. I am preparing this for CO2, but I don't turn it on because I said to myself I could grow some non-demanding stem plants, but in the end I only put Hygrorhizas here. Then I have a few Cryptocorynes, Echinodori. In the front you can see a Microsorum Taiwan, silicious gravel, and I think I put some NPK capsules at the bottom. So again, a low-tech aquarium. Now, we will start on the other side at the top. There we will see an aquarium where I have Anubias Nana. This aquarium was meant to be for carpet plants with 3 10-watt LED spotlights, but it is too low. It only has about 60 liters. Currently, I don't put CO2 in there. The filter is some Wiki by Aquarium, which I wouldn't even call a filter, but it's meant to be for the movement of the water. Plus, there is a Hygrorhiza swimming there. In fact, it hasn't been long since I placed these Anubiases here, because I had to deal with a really big bunch of Anubiases in the main aquarium, which had been growing there for 4 years. And which was so big I had to cut it. And on the other hand, I felt sorry for the cutouts, so I put them here. Here is the first high-tech aquarium, if I can say so, which I supply with the CO2. It's a 100-liter aquarium, 3 LED spotlights are operating here. On the sides there are 2 10-watt ones, and in the middle a 20-watt one. Here I use Aquarium Pat Mini as a filter with a better biofoam. I diffuse CO2 with an atomizer, plus there is a siliceous gravel, MPK and Ferox capsules, a few pieces of wood. Here is a Marsilia. Here are a few other plants, Cryptocorini flamingo, Hydrocotyle tripartita mini, Echinodorus vesuvius, pearlweed, lobelia, simply a bit more difficult plants. And it is mainly about putting relatively low CO2 and light being a bit better than with the Anubias. I fertilize with PMDD and I supply micro and macro elements. Separately, I use KNO3 and sometimes KHB2O4, where I also put phosphorus. Another aquarium here. I call this mossarium because I have several types of mosses here, and I also grow here a Storogine repens, which I forgot to cut for some time, so it stretches, but it was also in the shade. This is Echinodorus tropica, and here are a few mosses, some of which grew into each other. Then this is Microsorum trident, Bolbitis, Christmas moss, Cameron moss, pearl moss, and as a filter I use an Atman head, larger biofoam which I supply using an atomizer. The lights used here, I need to take a look, so let's lift this up. Yeah, here are 4 10-watt LED spotlights, color of 6000 kelvins, 4 times 800 lumens, 3200 lumens in total. I only add a very low amount of PMDD here. This aquarium here is a bit of a mess. This is the most high-tech aquarium which I have had here, with the highest supply of CO2 through an atomizer. The filter is actually an Atman pumping head with internal biofoam. I use a lot of light here. It has 160 liters and 2 20-watt LED spotlights, and in the middle I use a 50-watt LED spotlight. And why is it a mess? It's because this aquarium needs a lot of care, be it cutting the plants or regular fertilizing, because with the lights so strong as these, to establish balance between light, CO2 and nutrients, I have to it's a direct proportion. The more light and CO2, the more nutrients I need. But recently, I haven't had much time, so I haven't touched the aquarium for 3 whole months. I haven't done any maintenance for 3 months or changed water. CO2 has been flowing inside, lights on, and I haven't fertilized at all. So, as I haven't added any nutrients, algae came here. It was a terrible puddle. Mess everywhere, algae everywhere, terrible. I was already thinking I would start the aquarium again from scratch, but in the end I decided not to give up and not to leave it like that. The plants were totally covered with algae, but I didn't have the heart to throw them and just buy new ones. So I said I wouldn't give up and decided to drain most of the water and simply clean what could be cleaned. Then, as new stalks would grow, I would put them into clean water and try to fight the blue-green slime which got into the aquarium somehow. I have been trying this for 14 days now, and it's still not what it should be, but this is just aquaristics. It's just not easy when you don't have time. When you neglect something, the consequences will strike back at you multiplied. When algae appear, one must start doing something about it in time. Improve the conditions to stop the algae from growing, since the actual fighting them is pointless. It is a tilt at windmills in case the conditions don't improve. Here then is siliceous gravel. I used NPK capsules and Ferox about a year ago, so the algae wouldn't be here at all. Here you can see a skimmer, but it will only be here for a short time, so the algae or slime or whatever ugly thing this is, so it doesn't get back here. And then there is my 10-litre CO2 bottle, from which I distribute CO2 into 3 aquariums using this distributor. And it works perfectly. Well, once more, let's take a look around the whole workroom. Of course, in pictures, it will look different after I play with the lighting. Sometimes I have to dim them, or rather shade them, because you can't just dim LED spotlights. Here I simply try various plants and get to know what suits them to get just beautiful. A beautiful, healthy plant will ensure a functional aquarium, and then it just looks perfect. Echinodorus. Echinodorus totally impressed me. Well then, this is my workroom, and I hope you like it. I will try to find a bit of time to make videos and photos now and then, and also tell you something and explain. Because having a plant aquarium which works well and contains a shoal of fish, for instance, I like cardinal tetras, even though this fish is present in nearly all aquariums, but a shoal of cardinal tetras swimming around the aquarium with zebrafish, this is priceless. So, have a good time and all the best. I will be happy for likes and subscriptions. Goodbye.